I'm Vince Gennaro, the author of Diamond Dollars, The Economics of Winning in Baseball. I'm a consultant to major league teams, and I'm the president of SABRE, the Society for American Baseball Research. And that follows my 20-year career as an executive at PepsiCo. Well, today I'm here to talk about how the world of baseball analysis and information is changing dramatically. We're all familiar with the Moneyball revolution, but when the book Moneyball was written a mere 10 years ago, we had only 2% of the baseball data that exists today. This baseball data explosion warrants looking at new technologies and ways to process the information. An Excel spreadsheet might have been fine a decade ago. It might have been the answer. But with the complexity of 15 to 20 million new data points per season, all describing the action on the field in a way that allows us to evaluate players and understand their value, that requires new technologies and innovative technologies. Well, as I explored lots of options of different tools and frameworks to analyze baseball data, I've concluded that YarcData's Eureka appliance is a real game changer. And let me give you one example. It's an example of many potential examples of problems that we're solving using Eureka. Well, today teams choose their desired matchups between pitchers and batters, often based on historical data of how the batter and pitcher performed against one another over their careers. We hear broadcasters quote these stats all the time, that so-and-so was 2 for 12 against Justin Verlander, for example. Well, there's big problems with this approach. The one-on-one nature of the data is too literal and often results in very small sample sizes. It also draws on performance data, which in some cases could be 10 to 15 years old. Do we really care that Derek Jeter had 4 hits and 10 at-bats against Roy Halladay in 1999? And finally, teams often refer to players' batting average or their OPS, their on-base plus slugging percentage, rather than dig deeper into the batted ball performance of the hitter, which can be even far more telling of his ability to do battle against a pitcher. Now that baseball analysts are armed with vast amounts of data that record even the most granular events on the playing field, such as the angle of break on a curveball or the horizontal movement on a changeup, or the speed and launch angle of a batted ball, the time is right to engage technology like YarcData's Eureka appliance, which has the capability to process this information in a way that can provide MLB teams with a competitive advantage when making crucial in-game decisions, or roster moves, or assessing injury risk, or even valuing players. So we began the analysis by measuring the attributes of all major league pitchers. Things like the pitches they throw most often, the velocity of their fastball, the release point from where the ball is thrown, the movement of their pitches, whether or not they tend to pitch inside to hitters or pitch down in the zone, even their command. Do they in fact have good control and allow them to work the corners of the strike zone? And in doing so, we grouped pitchers by similarity and placed them in clusters of pitchers with similar attributes. So this first step tackled this issue of just looking at the one-to-one matchups that teams often look at today. And Eureka was great for this step because it allowed us to try hundreds of combinations of pitcher attributes very quickly and even vary the way we defined each attribute. And when working on a project like this, intellectual momentum is key. You don't want to have a great idea and then go into batch mode to see how it all turns out a few hours later or the next day. The turnaround time with Eureka is lightning fast, allowing us to build on our ideas and really reach a superior solution. Once we grouped our pitchers into clusters, we displayed it graphically, which is what Eureka is designed to do, which not only visualized the clusters and the degree of difference between pitcher clusters, but it also helped define which pitchers were on the fringe of a cluster, which is an important insight when making the call on a player's fit with a team or their home ballpark. And finally, we measured each batter's performance against our 20-plus pitching clusters. In order to take the analysis to the next level, we used batted ball data that captures the speed and launch angles of batted balls off the bat. So it's not enough to know whether a player gets a hit or makes an out. We also want to integrate the quality of his contact with the ball into the evaluation. And Eureka excels at integrating data from multiple sources. And the design of the appliance allows it to draw quickly from all the data that is relevant to solving the problem, even if they're from different databases or in a different format. And the end result is we've gained tremendous insight into how a batter and pitcher should perform against one another, beyond what the literal one-to-one matchup data would have told us. In fact, we're able to find patterns that hitters themselves did not even realize, which is all about discovery. In fact, finding things you weren't looking for is really a strength of Eureka. We learned, for example, that a starting National League shortstop has trouble with tall pitchers who throw directly over the top, leading to a particularly high release point and allowing the pitcher to throw what we call downhill. So there's an example of something we had learned that we weren't even looking for. Well, there's no question in my mind that YarcData's Eureka is a real game changer.